In this short video here, we're going to do a little bit of illustration in Adobe Illustrator. First thing we do, we create a new file. Now for the purposes of this demonstration, we're just going to go to Print. We're going to say Letter Size. We're going to do Vertical. And we're going to say OK. So I'll just take a second to bring that up. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about drawing a picture with a image in the background so we can get our shapes right. Remember Command minus zooms out a little bit. What I did ahead of time was I just searched an image that I was interested in online. Here it is right here. It's my ice cream, and I just saved it onto the desktop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this over here, and I'm going to drop it right inside my file like so. All right. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to size this here. So let's put it in the corner. I'm going to make it fairly large. Hold down my Shift key when I size it so that it sizes the proper ratio there. And then there we go. So then I'm going to look for my Layers menu. Remember, if I don't see it, I'm going to go to Window, and I'm going to look for Layers here. There it appears. So here's my ice cream layer. If I double click on it, it gives me some attributes here. I can name it. I'm going to call it Picture, so I know that it's the picture of the ice cream cone. I'm going to lock that layer so I can't move it, and then I'm going to dim my image to about 50%. So when I say OK, you can see it sort of hides it in the background a little bit. So here's my layer. This is my reference layer in the background, and I'm going to leave it there and not touch it. Then I'm going to add a new layer. So remember here next to the garbage can, I'm going to create a new layer. And this is going to be my drawing layer here. So again, for demonstration purposes, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to hold down my space bar, and I'm going to move this over here so I can actually see the picture of the ice cream cone. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the ice cream on its own separate layer here. So I'm going to double click on this layer. I'm going to call it ice cream. And there we go. So let's start by just building some shapes. We're going to use the shape building tool. Now, of course, you can use our pen tool, right? You can click points along the way here. And if you click and then hold down, you can change the direction of your points like this. And we can draw. Now, the only problem with this is that if you're making an icon or something like that, sometimes you're sloppy. It looks sort of messy, right? I just hit the delete key to get rid of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn to draw with shapes. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look here at my shape building tool. I'm going to go to my ellipse tool. I'm going to pull an ellipse, and you'll see here my ellipse is all squishy. But if I hold down the Shift key like that, if I hold it down while I'm drawing, I can make a perfect circle. So I'm going to make a circle that is the ice cream. I'm going to move it over here on top of the ice cream like this. I want to be able to see through it so I can see what I'm doing. So here, remember, my fill color is white. I'm going to fill it with nothing. So now I can see the outside edge here. I can line it up where I want it to. I can also use the arrow keys on my keyboard to sort of line it up. And then I'm also going to let the ice cream just come below this line. I'm not too worried about it right now. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I might want to keep this a perfect circle and not mess with it at all. But I'm just going to, let's do this instead. So I'm going to make some little circle shapes around the outside. Now, a secret to copying this circle quickly is if I hold down the Alt-Option key, when I grab this center point and I pull it over, it makes an instant duplicate for me. So I hold down the Shift key, I make this a little bit smaller, like so. I bring it over here, and I'm going to drop it right here in the front. I'm going to hold down the Alt-Option key again. I'm going to make a copy over here. I'm going to hold down the Alt-Option key again. I'm going to bring it over here. Alt-Option, I'm going to bring it over here like this. I'm going to say Alt-Option, I'm going to bring it over here. This one I'm going to make a little bigger because I want to vary the sizes a little bit. I'm going to say Alt-Option again to this guy. Oops. Oh, shoot, sorry. I guess I have to grab the one that's active here. There we go. I'm going to bring it over here. I'll leave that one larger. I'm going to say Alt-Option again. I'm going to bring this guy over here, but I'm going to make him smaller. All right, so I'm going to just fill up this edge of my ice cream cone. Let's take this little guy here with these little tiny circle shapes. Let's go up. Let's go down. Like that. Let's go Alt-Option here. Let's bring this guy around the back. Alt-Option, let's bring this guy over here. Let's make this one Alt-Option, and then we'll make some smaller. You know, you just want to, I'm just sort of building this shape here. Alt-Option, let's do another one. Let's make them small. And I'm taking some liberties. Like normally, you know, we were talking about trying to make this thing sort of fit that shape, but I'm just going to do that shape right now. Now, it's a little hard to see, but I can see that there are some outlines around my hair. Let's put this layers menu away. There we go. I can see the outlines of my circles all the way around the outside edge here. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to think about these circles together as one giant shape. So I'm going to use my selecting tool here, and I'm going to select, I'm going to drag and select all of those circles like that, right? So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the Shift key, and I'm going to deselect the outside circle. So I've just selected these circles to join. I'm going to use the shape building tool, which is this guy right here. Looks like a little cloud with an arrow. I'm going to start here, and you can see the way it highlights these, right? I'm going to start here. I'm going to hold my mouse click, and I'm going to draw into all these circles here, just like so. And I let go, and look at that. It made that into one huge shape that just sits in front of my ice cream like that. How cool is that, right? Excuse me. Then what I'm going to do, so I'll go back to my selecting tool. I'm going to just scooch it down a little bit because I want it to be past the circle right here. And now I can draw. When I draw, I can fill that with anything that I like. So that's pretty much it, right? So that's how you draw with your shape tool and get your colors together. So then what I'm going to do is go back to my layers here. I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to drag that layer below the ice cream, and I'm going to double click here. I'm going to call this cone. All right, and then for the cone, I am going to draw with the, here, and I can lock this one temporarily so I don't mess with the ice cream here. Let's use the pen tool, and I'm going to click here, 1. I'm going to click down here, 2. I'm going to click, here, and I'm going to click here. So now I have my cone, and I can address this curve later. I might lay another shape on top of that shape later, but let's just get our colors together for now. All right, so there we go. So now I have my ice cream. Oops. I have my ice cream cone, which is here. I have my cone, which is here. And then I have my picture here in the back. And you can sort of see these lines are pretty thin. But you can see here, let's select them all. Let's go to stroke. Where's my stroke? Here you are. And let's go to 1 point. Oh, this one's locked up here, I think. Yeah, that's part of our problem. There we go. Let's go to stroke. Let's go 1 point. There we go. Everything is 1 point. So now you can see the shapes of my ice cream cone. This looks a little strange over here, but that's all right. And there's my layers here. All right, so let's talk about coloring this thing. Now I can just click on my individual paths here, and I can double click in this window, and I can try to select something that's like, you know, be down here by the yellows, like a brown sort of a color, something like that. And what we're going to do is, here we go, just like so. I'm going to say OK, and that's the brown I'm going to select. But what you can do is you can actually select colors from a color palette. All right, and I'm going to show you how to do that in the next video.